The sound of London.
Vanessa Feltz at breakfast. BBC
Radio London.
More than 7,000 people have objected to plans to build a shopping mall and corporate offices on parts of the historic Old Truman Brewery on Brick Lane. The site, which was once the world's largest brewery, is now home to dozens of small arts businesses, independent shops, markets, stalls and restaurants. And our reporter, Greg Mckenzie, is in East London for us this morning. Hello, Greg. Good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Vanessa. So this East London street where I am, Brick Lane to be precise, became a hub for the Bengali and Bangladeshi communities in the 60s and 70s as families fled war and came to London to work. Now, as they settled here on Brick Lane, it became known as Bangla Town. But now plans to develop the site of the old Truman Brewery have locals really worried, Vanessa, because they say it's going to simply change the face of Brick Lane and those communities that come with it, because with a new shopping mall brings more people, and they're worried the area will just become too commercial and it will push rents up and they will be put out of business. Now, in terms of Brick Lane, famous for curry houses, for restaurants, 60 of them existed back in 2005, and today, Vanessa, there's only 25, and they've struggled, as with many businesses, throughout the pandemic. And I'm here now with a business owner, Azmal Hussain. He's the owner of Preem restaurant here on Brick Lane. So I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, the last 15 months must have been just really difficult for you.
Yes, for us, not only for me, for everybody in Brick Lane, we are suffering with no customers. City people are not here and no tourists. So I don't know how long we can survive.
And on top of that, Vanessa, they've got the prospect of this development. Now, the council have deferred the application that went in last year, and earlier this year they said that they've deferred the planning permission and basically told the owners to go back and resubmit the application. Now, with me now is Jonathan Moberly. He's from the East End Preservation Society. So, Jonathan, some people listening might think, well, hang on a minute, a new shopping mall, businesses are saying there's no customers, as we just heard there. This is surely a good thing.
Well, it's what we're worried about is that the effect of this new development on Brick Lane will be a corporatisation of what at the moment is a very fragile ecosystem of independent businesses. 90% of the shops on Brick Lane are genuinely independent businesses, and we want to keep it that way.
And I guess the council, well, they're looking at the bid, and one would think that more people here. I mean, the character here is definitely unique. It's historic here in Brick Lane, yes. And I guess for the Bengali community, it's a hub. It's a community hub, and I guess you just don't want that to change.
You see here, we Bengali people said, if you don't go to Bangladesh, come to Brick Lane and feel Bangladeshi. No need to go to Bangladesh. Stay in London, in Bangladesh. So this is how in our community we talk about Brick Lane. That's why it called, council give us the name Bangla Town. It means Bengali town.
Okay. And Vanessa, in terms of this development, the owners of the old Truman Brewery here in East London simply want to transform part of that site into a 5-storey office building, rooftop storage space, gym and a shopping mall across the site on Brick Lane. Now, with us also is Susanna. She's a local resident and from Save the Brick Lane campaign. So you've lived here many years. Why are you so concerned?
Well, I'm concerned about the local traders. I shop locally. I want to support businesses that have been here for 40 to 120 years. You know, it's a very authentic area, but sadly, it's more and more encroached by modern developments. And with this huge shopping mall that will be built, you know, they will attract people who wants to shop high street, you know, and I witnessed that none of those who come here on a weekend move beyond that northern part of Brick Lane, which is where Truman Brewery is. They just stay there. It's a totally different group of people that come here just for that kind of what they call street food, but it's really Carnaby street feeling. And none of them actually move beyond that part to the curry houses. And the poor curry houses, I know every one of them. I know the Taj as well, the provision store. I know the fabric Bhopal fabric store who had been there 40 years. I buy my velvet from them. They told me how they are struggling. They are standing out in front of their shop front, hoping that somebody would have a curry or buy a piece of fabric, but none of them do. They're all buying the trinkets and trash in the Truman Brewery.
Okay, and Jonathan, I mean, for you, I mean, what's the resolution here? That you don't want them all? Where's the middle part? Where do you meet in the middle? What are you saying here?
Yeah, okay, so what we're asking for is the council to catalyse a process of community involvement for a master plan for the area, and especially for the Truman Brewery. We need to mould a plan for the future of the area. We can't agree piecemeal bits and bobs of development which with no vision attached to it.
This should be a trust conservation area. It's not like we can make a modern development without see the area. Local area is like old, 200 years old, and you cannot put in 200 years old in a modern building, and that is we don't want.
All right, well, thank you. So many views there, Vanessa. And ironically, there is an exhibition taking place on 25 Princelet Street, which is literally a stone's throw from Brick Lane. And that exhibition, you can see the development of the old Truman Brewery, what they want to turn it into. You can see all the old history. They've got postcards and photos. It is a fascinating place. I've been there this morning. But just to add, the Tower Hamlets Council have issued a statement. They've said the Council's Development Committee considered an application from Old Truman Brewery Limited for planning permission to redevelop the site on Brick Lane and Woodsear Street at its meeting on the 27th of April 2021. The committee deferred a decision on this application since there were several aspects of the application where members felt additional details and clarifications were needed. As this is an open planning application, the council is unable to provide further comment. So many worried locals here, Vanessa, more than 7,000 people already opposing any planning of the old Truman Brewery here on Brick Lane. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much indeed. Greg Mckenzie there reporting from Brick Lane. If there's anything you'd like to add to that, please do, because we'd love to hear your perspective or point of view. The old Truman Brewery, I've been to many a function there myself, and it always seemed, I thought that was the conversion of the property. I thought they'd sort of done it up to look, to be a sort of host place and venue for functions, and also there were all the restaurants and the stalls, and that was kind of that was bringing it into the modern day. I didn't think they were going to do anything else to it. I don't know how you feel about it, but if you live or work there, if you often frequent it, maybe you're a stall holder, do get in touch. 0800 731 2000.
The
sound of London.
Vanessa Feltz at breakfast. BBC
Radio London.
Let's talk to Wayne in Buckhurst Hill. Let's first of all talk. Hello, Wayne. Morning to you. Good morning.
Hello, Vanessa.
Excellent to hear from you. I'm all right. Thank you very much. I hope you are too. You can do memories of 1966.
Yeah, before I feel so disgusted about the Truman's Brewery, I'll tell you about.
Yeah, we'll go to the
like
Truman's Brewery. We'll give it plenty of welly, but let's do 66 first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of the swinging 60s, so the whole country was buzzing. Even the people out in the suburbs who didn't know what swinging 60s was buzzing. All because of, the World Cup and being staged in England. It was a fantastic event. There was even a dog, wasn't there? World Cup Willie.
Yeah, well, we've already heard about World Cup Willie. Yes, absolutely.
And they lost the cup. Only in England. Only in England can you lose the cup. Only in England. But what I will say is it's a wee bit soon. I mean, it was great last night. It was really good. The crowd, everything. But they haven't won it yet.
No, true.
Let's take our time. So, but no, it does remind me of those days very much.
And the idea of, I don't know if the idea, the actual genuine emotion and experience of getting caught up in this kind of national feeling, sort of, the country, the fervour, you're rooting for the same thing as your neighbour and the shopkeeper and the person in the car next to yours at the lights, and everybody's smiling at everybody. That feeling.
Yeah, I think football, and particularly football in sport, is classless. It can be everyone. It can be, the COO of a company. It can be the guy that's got a stall down Petticoat Lane. they get caught up. It's a very, very nationalistic atmosphere. And it's got nothing to do with what we've been going through the last year. It's got nothing to do with that. Even if that didn't happen,
it would still be fabulous.
we would go nuts. We would always go nuts. The football supporters are twisted. You know, no matter what they do, as soon as a football match or their team or England, they go nuts. It's as simple as that. There should be a medicine for it, but there isn't.
I don't think anyone wants to take that medicine today, though. Nobody wants to. Everybody wants to just be immersed as much as anyone could possibly be. So,
and we'll get to know. We'll get to know the footballers a lot more.
Yes,
just
I
like
know.
the World Cup players.
Yes,
you know, everybody remembers Jeff Hurst. They'll remember Nobby Stiles.
Yeah.
And the characters will come out as well. That's something that we've got to remember.
Let us then go to the Truman Brewery.
Don't talk to me about it.
I want you to talk to me. I'm not going to talk to you about it. I want to listen to you. That's all I want to do. Tell me, why are you so upset? Why?
I'm upset our non-East Enders can take over the East End.
Right.
They've ruined Aldgate. They've ruined the cities moving further east.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sterile. It's miserable. I don't really care about the Bengalis. I'm not being racist or anything like that. They're new people.
Oh, gosh.
But why don't the people...
Well, hang on. I mean, wait a sec. Wait a sec, because that doesn't... I'm sure that didn't come out the way you meant it to, Wayne. I just can't think it did.
No, it didn't. But what I'm getting at
So hang on. Let's just go back. I mean, obviously, there's a whole community of people. The idea that you would say on the radio, I don't care about them, that doesn't sound right. Let's not do what you... I mean, you might want to rephrase it, or you might want to say what you meant to talk about was what you really do care about, rather than what you maybe mistakenly said you don't care about. Because I can't believe you don't care about a whole community.
What I care about is the Truman Brewery that was there before most of the people that have businesses there now.
Right.
You know.
Wayne, don't say I can't hear you. Sorry, what did you say? So the Truman Brewery, why do you care about it so much? Why? Why does it matter to you? Am I not going to be able to hear Wayne again? That's really annoying. I think what we might do is we might go to some music, actually, and then we'll see if we can sort out the technical side of life, because it is absolutely infuriating. If you're trying to listen to the radio, you can't actually hear the people that you're trying to listen to. I'm sorry, I can only apologise for the technical deets. And let's talk to Alfred in East Ham, and this is primarily about Brick Lane and the Truman Brewery. Hello, Alfred. Good morning to you.
Hello, Vanessa. I hope Wayne can get back on again. It's I'm of a similar age, I think, and... Hello?
Yes, hello, I'm listening.
Oh,
yes.
I had a click on that.
No click, not from me anyway.
The same fate. Well, the Brick Lane and the World Cup, I'm a similar age.
Yes.
And I was up at the Boleyn in Green Street in 1966.
Yes.
And it was euphoric. I mean, it was. I suppose it was strange behaviour. They were sort of rocking the buses, and of course everyone knew, because we'd seen all these footage of the old the Route Master buses.
Yes.
You could cant over at about 45 degrees without collapsing. So they were sort of rocking the buses back and forth, and the people on the buses seemed to be enjoying it as well. And I think this has come. This is almost like choreographed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Poor old Chris Whitty, after being harassed for those couple of gurning goons, suddenly comes out almost the next day saying he's in favour of, unlocking a bit, and it's what we need. Nobody's had this much excitement for about the last 18 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as I was thinking, right, bring on the World Cup,
Mm-hmm. So so you feel there's almost a sort of poetry or kind of musicality about it all?
Just announcing the end of lockdowns, and suddenly okay. Yeah, it's what is it? Synchronicity, I think. Yeah.
Interesting to hear that view. Tell me about the Truman Brewery, why it matters, and what your feelings are about it.
Well, it goes along with what's happening in that area. I mean, I spent a lot of the early years working in the city. Around that area, around Leadenhall Street, where I worked in the shipping industry there. Yes. And I knew the area well. And if you look what's happening there around Aldgate High Street and down at Gardener's Corner, these huge, just inhuman scale buildings looming over that area. And I think it's Tower Hamlets Council seem to be, I don't know, I know there are an area of considerable deprivation, like the Borough of Newham, where
Yes.
I live. But I think you can't just sort of turn a trick for any punter that rattles a few coins in your direction. And this is the council that just recently, and I was involved in lobbying to keep the Whitechapel Bell Foundry going. I think you covered that some time back.
Yeah.
And somebody wanted to turn it into a boutique hotel,
Yes.
whatever the hell that's supposed to denote. This is a bit of a foundry that was there in about the 15th century and recast the Liberty Bell for the American government. And I think it's that you're trashing history and the ambience of an area for I don't know, something that's looks like the same as everywhere else. There's got a unique character around that brewery, and independent shops are at a premium everywhere now. And we've got huge corporate shops can't keep going in Oxford Street. And I think the history is probably it. The future probably is, if it was allowed to be, in individual, unique shops. I think it's just going to become, the address is going to be, everywhere.
Do you feel that as it is, it's an enjoyable place to visit? I mean, do you go there? I have been there quite a few times, only because they, often events are hosted there, and I've been invited to them. I don't normally just go there for a wandabout. That wouldn't be fair. But I have been there, and it's. I mean, I think it's quite sympathetically done. It's quite a nice place to be. I mean, I don't have very strong feelings about it. But
No.
do you like the way it is now? And would you be content with that, or do you think there are more imaginative and better things that could be done with it?
Well, probably. I mean, I think there probably are, but I don't think it would. It's not very imaginative just to stick another load of concrete on it. At least while it's the way it is, it's malleable. You can do different things with that space. But once it's this great lump of schlock concrete's been thrown up, what can you do with that?
Yeah.
It's going to be another variant of the same. Strip it out, refit it inside, but it'll still be another lump of schlock concrete. That's going to be there for good. The space is people with imagination could do different things, in that space as it is. But once that's happened, that's another great slab of the real estate gone.
So, I mean, do you think there's an appetite for a big old shopping mall there? Do you think that's the right environment? I'm thinking about the parking and the drive, the whole stuff.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, like we really need another shopping mall, I mean, really. We've got, I don't know. I mean, we've got Stratford, you've got West, the great shopping mall there, Westfield there. But I mean, that's another thing. To be honest, it's on an inhuman scale. It's just plonked down in the middle by Stratford Station. I never go there. It's kind of dispiriting. It's just too much, too much of sort of the same thing. Just mass shopping. Nothing's perfect, and Brick Lane as it is not what it was.
No.
But it's when you get these applications, you can looking for what it is now to what it could be with this sort of thing. More of that is going to be worse.
Oh dear. All right, Alfred, thank you very much indeed. Well, if you're wondering why we're taking calls on the Truman Brewery on Brick Lane, I'll tell you, more than 7,000 people have objected to plans to build a shopping mall and corporate offices on parts of the historic old Truman Brewery on Brick Lane. The site was once the world's largest brewery. Now it's home to dozens of small arts businesses, independent shops, markets, stalls and restaurants. And Ken's on the line in East London about this. Hi, Ken. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Vanessa.
I mean, whenever there's change, people object. I wonder whether you object to this, and if so, why?
My main objection is this is being done by the council by the back door.
Right.
They are killing the markets in East London because they want to gentrify the area. The Brick Lane Market, myself and my wife have been going down there for at least the last 50 years.
Yes.
And in the last 5 years or so, they have near enough killed the market by the back door. Brick Lane Market is one of these old markets that you can't really close down.
Yeah.
What they've done is they've put double yellow lines on all the local area. The old traders there used to be turn up in their van, their cars, to their spot, to their pitch.
Yes.
They'd park there with their cars and vans, and they would put their store up next to it so they could trade. Now, they can't park within half a mile to a mile of Brick Lane.
Yes.
So what are they supposed to do? They go down there on a Sunday morning, put their store out, then they've got to go away a mile, half a mile to a mile to try and find somewhere to park their van. Leaving all their stall, all their goods and everything, for anyone to just walk along and dick.
What do you think of it is as it is now? I mean, do you think it's a great space?
It's dead. No,
it's dead. Exactly, because that's the thing. Because often people say they don't want something to change because they love it the way it is. They so enjoy it, so beautiful, it's so marvellous. And I'm not sure. I don't want to put words into people's mouths, and I'm really not sure. I don't have very strong feelings about it particularly, but I just don't know whether people really like what it is now and don't want it to change, or don't much like what it is now and don't want it to change.
The market evolves.
Yes.
It's evolved over the last 50 years. I mean, when we went down there used to be a big waste area where they sold cats, dogs, chickens, you name it. You could go down there. And, of course, hygiene and animal welfare, it all changes. We know that.
Yeah.
And it evolves. And that all went, first of all, it was licensed. Then it was when you used to have a load of seafood stalls down there. Then they changed the hygiene rules to make it, you had to be all freezers or, cold places. And, they've all gone now.
Right.
It changes, it evolves. There's not so many, I will say it this way, there's not so many ethnic and foreign people there there are now than there was there. It evolves, Nobody minds that. You don't mind the market or the area evolving. No, the council just want to get rid of it. They used to have Brick Lane and coming off it, Cheshire Street. Now, Cheshire Street, you go down there, it's a chicane. They're putting all these, they're building out the pavement and they're putting all these gentrified seats, making it all look nice and neat. They're putting flowers in there.
Yes. And it's funny because when you say making it nice and neat and they're putting flowers, people might think, oh, how lovely, how wonderful. But you're saying that, but you're not saying it in a complimentary way. You don't think that's a good thing. You don't like this gentrifying malarkey, obviously.
Well, they're doing it. They're killing the area. It used to be a nice area. Now, you go down there, you've got a ukulele shop, you've got a couple of vetro shops, half a dozen barbers, one now, we have one little called, like a corner shop, which is, the area does need things like that, some of them, but all the houses, all the flats, rather, not houses, there are no houses down there. It's all been rebuilt, they're all flats, they don't look nice, and all the fronts of them have all got graffiti on them, even though they're, God knows how.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Ken. Sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to, but let me just read you this because this is a statement from Tower Hamlets Council. I wouldn't mind a line from you in response to this. Just see what you think of it. So a Tower Hamlets Council spokesperson said, the Council's Development Committee considered an application from Old Truman Brewery Limited for planning permission to redevelop the site on Brick Lane and Woodseer Street at its meeting on the 27th of April 2021. The committee deferred a decision on this application since there were several aspects of the application where members felt additional details and clarifications were needed. As this is an open planning application, the council is unable to provide further comment. So that's all we're going to be told by them.
Well, at the moment down that area, used by traders on, I'm not sure about the week, I can't go down there during the week, you know, but at the weekend there's traders, there's lots of now little food stalls along the road further up. You know, it's a vibrant market. You've got the youngsters going down there. You've still got a bit of the old second-hand and the other market up the top of Brick Lane and near the bagel shops and that, which is still managing to survive.
You mean Petticoat Lane?
No, Brick Lane.
Brick Lane itself, right.
Petticoat Lane is a separate market.
Further down, yeah.
Yeah, that's down at Aldgate.
Right.
But, yeah, that's used to be Petticoat Lane, used to be, as it says, petticoats, clothes and all that sort of thing. Brick Lane was the second-hand dog markets and everything, you know.
Well, it's good to talk to you, Ken. Thank you very much indeed for bringing it back so vividly. Nice to hear from you. Let's talk to Tony in Basildon. Hello, Tony. Morning. Hi there. You've got strong feelings about this possible development in the Old Truman Brewery. Morning.
Good morning, Vanessa. Yes, I have. I was out there a fortnight ago and I went to Princess Street and I signed a petition not to develop the area. I like the area because it's not Canary Wharf. I don't want Canary Wharf in the East End, you know. Yeah. I wanted to keep it a bit grubby, you know, and authentic. I mean, I love those old Georgian houses down there, you know.
So do I.
Because beautiful. I was looking at I went there a fortnight ago. I went out for a Sunday meal to my favourite restaurant in Commercial Street. Yeah. And we were sort of looking at the old buildings, and behind them you can see the towering glass monuments, you know, to finance, you know. And I was looking at it and thinking, why would you want to knock these down and put more of them here, like, you know? It just drives me mental, Vanessa.
And you mean because they're so characterless and there are so many things similar, you mean?
Vanessa, they've got no soul, you know?
Yeah, it's like...
You know, I love walking around all those streets, you know, Fournier Street and all that, because of the past, you know, like walking in the footsteps of the goats before, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I've been going down there, I'm 63, and I grew up in Hackney. So a treat for us on a Sunday was going down Brick Lane and get bagels for Sunday tea, you know. So I've been going down there for absolutely years, you know. Yeah. And it has changed. It's not completely like it used to be. You know, modernism has crept in. I mean, like at the other end, you've got Norton Foregate. You know, that's going to just be a facade because all the buildings behind are going to go. So it's already creeping in, you know. So it's got to be stopped, Vanessa, like, because eventually it will all go.
And tell me something. What do you think of it as it is? I mean, do you feel affection for the current?
Oh yeah, I love it because it's dirty and grimy. Yeah.
Right, but the Old Truman Brewery isn't. I mean, in my view, I may be wrong, but it is not particularly dirty and grimy. It's just a kind of converted industrial building that they have events in, and then there are stalls outside and some restaurants and things like that. But do you like that?
It's got a vibe about it, you know. As I said, the modern word they use, a vibe, you know. It's good. I've been round here. I've seen all the street food and all that, you know. But as I say, I think if this goes ahead, Vanessa, and then they think, oh, we're in here, we can have the rest of it. And it will all go.
Right.
All those Georgian houses will go, you know, because developers have got I don't know.
Well, even though they're worth so much money now, they're so desirable, and so many, you know, the great and the good can't wait to live there. It's been fashionable for wealthy people to move in for years now, hasn't
£1 million?
Yeah, well, at least I would have thought.
I mean, that artist lives down there, doesn't she? Oh God.
Tracy Emin.
That's the one,
yeah.
And then you got the man off the TV whose name escapes me at the moment, like.
I can't think which one you mean. There are a few of those.
The historian, you know. He's put all he got the chairs out of the synagogue. And all,
I don't know. Not David Starkey. No, I don't know.
Was it Cruikshank? Have I getting mixed up?
Not sure. Possibly. I don't know.
As I say,
but Tony, it's interesting to hear that you know what you think about this. And thank you. Oh, Dan Cruikshank, we think. Thank you so much for ringing. Let's talk to Dave in Bethnal Green about this. Dave, obviously geographically close to you, etc. You know, I don't know what you think of the Truman Brewery in its current incarnation and what you might think of a shopping mall instead. What do you think about it?
Can I just say to Tony,
dirty
and grimy, people don't want to live in dirt and grime, for a start. The Georgian houses are never going to go because they've got preservation orders on them.
Right.
The Truman Brewery is not the Tower of London. It's not a great building, and it's called Progress, Vanessa. Right? I think if they develop that, right, it won't affect Brick Lane because it's not going to knock any shops down that are on Brick Lane or anything like that, and it'll probably bring jobs and work to the area. I can't see nothing wrong with that. And to the fellas that own the curry houses, you should look at that more people in the area, more chance you've got of getting people into your curry shops.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
You know,
I haven't been able to get sort of terribly worked up about this one because I wasn't sure what I really think about the current Truman Brewery. Do I feel real affection for it? Do I think it's a beautiful building? Do I think it's a great asset to London? I don't really know. It might be. I'm not sure.
It's not a beautiful building, Vanessa. It's not a beautiful building. But look, when I say to you, look, I can remember Camden, I can remember Covent Garden, I can remember Spitalfields.
Yeah.
They all started off as sort of like wallpaper things, and you to sell bootleg albums and T-shirts, and it just progresses. And this is what's happened. This is gentrification. It's here. You can't stop it. And I want more jobs in that area. And like, it's lovely to people to say, oh, don't knock it down, who don't live round there, whose kids might not want a job round there, and they come there every Sunday to get a bagel, which is Beigel, by the way.
Beigel. Of course it's Beigel. What, you're telling me what it is? Of course it's Beigel.
No, I know you know what it is.
Oh, my gosh.
Basildon calls it a bagel.
But I don't. That comes from Manchester via New York. I don't know what that's about.
There you go.
Honestly, please.
But come on, look, let's have it's progress. It's not knocking down the whole of Brick Lane. And Brick Lane is not recognisable as it was even 15 years ago, right? And you can't stop it. So, look, go with it. Let's get some jobs in the area. Yeah?
And do you think there is a market for it, though, given that all we ever seem to do on this show is talk about the high street is dead and retail is in terrible trouble and, you know, Topshop has gone and Debenhams has bitten the dust and, you know, is there anyone really at Westfield, any of the Westfields? Is there anyone at Lakeside? What about Brent Cross? Is it just a kind of cavernous desert with nobody buying anything? Plus, nobody's going on holiday really this year, not much. And if you stay here and go on a staycation, the weather could be appalling for every single day. You're not buying your bikini and your caftan and your flip-flops, or even you not buying a bikini, Dave, this year. So therefore, you know, is anyone actually buying anything? What do we need to buy? Are we buying? And is there really a market for a great big old shopping centre there?
Well, look, Westfields is a success, Vanessa, in Stratford. It is. Look, you either love it or hate it. Personally, I don't like shopping like that. I'd rather go down to Oxford Street or on a street. But look, my wife goes there every now and again, whatever. You don't know what shops they're going to put into this development. They might leave a bit for artisans, you know, like start-up businesses. We don't know. But look, if them people think there's money to be earned there, that's why they're doing it. That is why they're doing it. These people are not stupid. If they didn't think that could be a success, they wouldn't do it, honestly.
Right.
And I think it's about jobs for the area. You know what I mean? I don't know. People just don't like... I don't like change, but... You have to go with it sometimes.
Okay, let me read you this then. This is kind of, and I've got to tell you, I haven't pushed very hard for calls on this Brick Lane story. Not really. I thought it was going to be a bit of an incidental story that we just covered just to kind of mention it, and nobody would really respond. But lots of people have. And let me read you this from Sophia in Woodford, who says, "Oh my Beigels, no. Plans for a shopping mall in Brick Lane, an attempt to suck every last breath out of its rich London soul. It's disgusting, disgraceful, despicable. It's an attempt to seal the lid on its coffin after choking it to death. I am saddened." That's what she says.
Right, and where does she live? Woodford, Essex.
Woodford, yeah. So you mean she's left the East End behind, comfortably behind?
So she's comfortably behind. So now she's a weekend monthly tourist that likes to look at how poor everything is. So, you know, don't you think people that live there want a bit of glitz and glamour every now and again, Vanessa? You know, half of them buildings, if you blew them, they'll fall down anyway. They need pulling down, believe it or not. But look, most of the people that are complaining about it don't even live there, right? I'll live there. I think it's good for the area. And if it fails, it fails. But these people are not stupid. The people that invested in Westfield, West London, Stratford, and all these places, they're not stupid. So they must think there's a market there for it. That's all I can say.
Well, it's lovely to hear from you.
And the Beigel shop will stay.
Always a pleasure, honestly. It really is. And Carol says, Vanessa, it's a shame that they are planning to build a shopping mall on the old Truman Brewery site. Why does everything have to be the same and have the character taken out of it? When I'm in the mood, I enjoy a shopping trip to a mall, Westfield, for example. It doesn't mean, though, that I want it replicated absolutely everywhere. So there's been quite a welter of reaction to this, you know. On a day when I thought everybody would want to talk about football, if you'd said to me, do you think people will ring about the football or do you think they'll ring about the Truman Brewery on Brick Lane, I would have predicted, I'd have put money on the football. Shows how little I know know about my job, doesn't it, after all these years? What do I know? You're always unpredictable, lovely listener. You really are. And that's one of the great joys of doing this. I never know what you're going to say, with how much vigour you're going to say it, how much you're going to care less about something, how much you're going to just quietly care and not want to say a word about it on the radio, and how much you really want to give your point of view. And this one, this Brick Lane Truman Brewery story has flown today. We've had lots of response to it. If you want to quickly get your word in edgewise before the end of the show, you can on 0800 731 2000. If you think, like Dave in Bethnal Green, who does live in the area, oh, come on, this is a Luddite mentality. You know, you want to stop progress of all kinds. The old Truman Brewery is no great shakes as it is. The stalls aren't much cop. The restaurants are pretty average. There's nothing special about it. A shopping mall would be terrific. If that's how you feel, you can say so. And if you feel very differently about it, you think it'll just be homogenised, sanitised, look exactly like everywhere else, sell exactly the same as all of the outlets everywhere else, and be a complete bore and drag, and you really think it will ruin the character and spirit of the area, then please get in touch and tell us what you think about that. The number's 0800 731 2000. And let's catch up with Robert, find out what's going on with him. Hi, Robert.
Hello, Vanessa.
Any views on the old Truman Brewery at Brick Lane?
Yeah. I mean, not specifically on what it should become or what it is or whatever, but I think the reason people care a lot is because this is about who decides what sort of city we live in.
Yeah.
Traditionally, London is a city which has grown from the bottom up. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been planned and designed by planners or developers. And when they have tried to do it, they've usually made a right mess of it. And they've knocked down the good bits and put up rotten bits. And so I think this is about people saying we don't want something imposed on an area like Brick Lane. Brick Lane is one of the most emblematic streets in London. It tells the story of immigration. It tells the story of arrival and moving on, and Irish communities, and Huguenot communities, and Irish communities, and Jewish communities, and Bengali communities. And they're the people who shaped it.
I mean, I once did a whole show when they were going to change the actual bricks in actual Brick Lane. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They were going to sort of tarmac over the reddish-coloured bricks, and we had so many calls on that, and that was sort of some while ago. But what do you think of the old Truman Brewery as it stands? It's used as a sort of venue. I've been there a few times. I don't really have very strong feelings about that building and what they do with it, really. I don't know.
No, I don't have strong feelings about that building, but I have very strong feelings about what happens on that site.
So what would you think if they put a big old shopping centre there?
I think it would be appalling, personally, and it's only my personal view.
Sure.
I think it's the wrong... It's one of the last bits left that feels like an old London. Now, I'm not saying poverty is never nice. I'm not trying to this, and it's not people's homes we're talking about here. This isn't people's houses. Everyone should have good, decent accommodation to live in. What it's about is that the character of an area, once eradicated, has gone. You can't. It's impossible to bring it back. So if you do plonk something that's completely out of context in an area like that, suddenly it changes. And the reason, it's all right to moan about people only going there on a Sunday and it's a market. That's what people do. That's the lifeblood of it. And if you do turn it into something that's bland and nondescript and could be anywhere, like everywhere else, people will stop going.
What do you think, for example, of Spitalfields and what goes on there now?
I think it's all right. I don't moan about Spitalfields. I think it's rather good because it's little independent traders. It feels like it's kind of come up organically.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we want in those areas of London. You want it to feel that it's somehow, it's an odd term, but somehow real or authentic.
Yes.
And it's very hard to put an authentic shopping centre in the middle of Brick Lane.
No, I keep thinking about what they'd have to run down to do it, really.
Exactly. And I do understand why people care because it feels like lots of things are going. The Bell Foundry's gone. It was the oldest factory. Now, London constantly changes. It's a city in constant flux. And that's part of the joy of it. But you have to sometimes just work out what sort of change is going on and whether we need to put a brake on it occasionally.
And also you have to sort of try and envisage why at this point anybody thinks that would do well, a shopping centre there.
It feels to me like it's yesterday's solution. It doesn't feel like this is what the future feels like.
It feels as if it's ignored everything that's happening somehow.
I would have thought that what you should be doing is letting an area out like that in really small little parcels to entrepreneurs, to young designers, to creatives, to someone who wants to start another curry house or someone who wants to, whatever it might be, so that you get this kind of bottom-up development. It's not about the physical space until you ruin that physical space by putting some bland glass and steel on it.
As soon as you do that, then bang, really,
It's gone. That's the problem. You can't unpick
I mean, the thing that I
things.
always think is nice about it when I go there is that a bit higgledy-piggledy.
Yes.
You're not quite sure where the door is. You have to walk across this little courtyard thing. You practically fall over in your high-heeled shoes. It's all a bit of a sort of adventure rather than just an ordinary bland building, isn't it?
If you think of all the bits of London that we love collectively, whether you
Yes.
think of Soho or you think of Covent Garden or perhaps you think of the East End and Brick Lane and Clerkenwell, and they're all the bits that are higgledy-piggledy, and they got little alleyways and turnings and corners, and you don't know what's coming next. They're not the bits that are shiny. They're not. It takes much longer for those to enter our hearts, I suspect.
Tell me what's coming up on the show, Robert, today.
Well, it's Wednesday, so it's Notes and Queries Day, and we've got a couple of nice queries lined up already. It's the art fair at King's Cross, or the other art fair. We're also going to talk art and design with Alice Rawsthorne, who give us the lowdown on everything that's happening. We've got a book about the 70s called Budgie Wore My Jacket, and I certainly wore a budgie jacket. And that's a kind of a novel set in sort of early 1970s London. And then we got a band called Balmaia, the Balmaia Project, and we're going to be hearing from them. Bands these days never have simple names, but that one's the Balmaia Project.
You can talk with your Spandau Ballet, bands and simple. I can't believe you said that. I cannot believe you said that. Of all the people to say that on the radio, Robert Elms, really, you have been done up by yourself like a right kipper for saying that.
There's a difference between pretentious names and simple names. Spandau Ballet is just pretentious.
That is nuance. That is subtlety and nuance, the like of which I am not capable of even comprehending. Bands with complicated names, indeed. We're on the floor here. We are on the floor. Robert Elms, thank you very much indeed. He's coming up almost imminently, really. Thanks so much to the team today. We had Gemma producing. We had Lotta on the phones. We had Paul driving the desk. 2-0. That was the overwhelming feeling, and I will leave you with Paul McCartney and Wings. Silly love song. See you bright and early tomorrow morning. Lots of love.